Hi, first grade friends. Today in our lesson, we're going to be talking about how to tell time, by the hour. Yesterday, or in our previous lesson, we talked about two different kinds of clocks that we use to tell time. The number one is analog, and the second one, or number two, is the digital clock.
Just to remind you, on the analog clock, that green arrow, that one's pointing to the hour hand. The hour hand is the shorter hand, and that's the one you want to say first when you're telling time. The yellow arrow is pointing to the minute hand. That's the longer one and goes second. On the digital clock, the second clock that we have shown, the green arrow is again pointing to the hours, and then the yellow is pointing to the minutes.
On this clock, this is our analog clock, and we're going to talk about telling time to the hour. So the first thing you do is when you're using an analog clock is you look at that short hand, and that is the hour clock. You look at what number it is pointing at. On this clock, you'll see that the arrow is pointing to the 9. So that tells us that it is 9 o'clock. And how we know the o'clock part is any time that our minute hand is pointing straight up to the number 12, that says o'clock. So on this clock, it is 9 o'clock.
And on a digital clock, remember we point to the first number goes first. That tells us the hours. So this one says 12, and then on the other side it shows 00. Anytime you see that 00, that means o'clock. So this digital clock shows 12 o'clock.
All right, we're going to see if you guys can tell me what time it is on this clock.
Remember, you look at that short hand first. The short or the smaller hand is pointing to the hour.
So on this clock, the short hand is pointing to the number 6. So it is 6. And when you look at the long hand, which is the minute hand, it is pointing or almost touching that number 12. And when it touches that number 12, it says o'clock. So this time is 6 o'clock.
All right, one more to try out. What time does this digital clock say? That's right. The digital clock shows 8 o'clock. You see that 8 first, and then anytime you see those double zeros on the other side, it's o'clock. 8 o'clock. So what we want you to do today is to go look around your house and see, do I have any analog clocks, those circle clocks? Do I have any digital clocks? Maybe I could try to see if I see any hours on them.